Hello, hello. What is up, everybody? We didn't have our fancy music this week, but we are live right now. Welcome to Training Simplified Live. I am stoked this week to have a guest co-host, Corban Nichols.
Let's go. I mean, I've never co-hosted before, so I think it's going to go well. I'm pretty positive it's going to go well.
Dude,
99.9% sure it's going to go well.
I'm super positive it's going to go well because we're also, so here's the thing, here's the new thing that we're doing that we haven't been doing in the past, but we started last week. We're live streaming to like multiple platforms, and I gotta
Yeah.
say, it's it's confusing, but it's
There needs
happening.
there
It's
needs to be a
happening right now.
simplified way of casting to multiple platforms all at once. It's got to be something that we can simplify.
Dude, you know what? I don't know if you got it, Corbin. Oh, you said you found it. You got it. And
What?
wait, I don't know what you found, but I just sent you the live LinkedIn post for
Oh,
you to have.
I
Uh,
thank you, and I shared it as well. So it's
Oh,
it's out there.
dude,
It's
that
out
is
there. It's in
awesome.
the ether.
That is awesome. Well, we got folks here. We're live on Zoom. We are live on LinkedIn. We're live on YouTube. We're all over the place. Thank you for those of you who are joining us here on Zoom. Appreciate you being here today. Also, everybody, hello, everybody out there in LinkedIn world. We're super excited to have you. So, we are continuing our series on scaling hospitality. A few weeks ago, Sam and I talked about kind of developing standards about how to really grow hospitality within a brand. Hospitality is your competitive advantage, right? So we talked about how defining standards and really being clear about that, and our experience about doing that at Chipotle, our experience doing that with other brands like Chaji and brands like Piada, our friend Corbin here. And then last week we had Corbin on, and we really talked about how to teach it, how to roll it out, but we didn't really get into the nitty gritty of the rollouts. So this week we're going to really kind of talk in detail about the rollout of a program like that, not just this hospitality program, but really any structured training program that's centered around creating results. We're going to talk about the rollout. We're going to talk about sustaining results, and we're going to talk all things hospitality training today.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's all about just diving in from start to finish because everything we talked about last week was really all theoretical. What did we do? What did we see? All of those pieces. So we'll recap some of that through the conversation naturally. But this week really is going to be the playbook. What have we done historically? What did we do with the hospitality program that we talked about last week? What have we done since as well?
Sweet. Zoom just told me. Whoa, Zoom is wigging out on me. It said recording stopped, and it said recording in progress. I don't know. I don't know. Something's happening, and it's talking. My computer's talking to me. So tell me, so Corbin, for those people out there in the world who don't know, the like one person, tell us, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Corban Nichols. I'm the vice president of restaurant excellence for Piada Italian Street Food. We are a company, a restaurant company, fast casual Italian food, all about tossed pastas, chopped salads, and hand rolled Italian sandwiches that we call the Piada. Inspired by Rimini, Italy, when our founder went out there, our founder co-CEO, and realistically, we are just a brand that is passionate about growth, passionate about our people, and passionate about our chefs and team members. And we're headquartered out here in Columbus, Ohio. So that's where I call home these days, and joining you from there.
Awesome, dude. Stoked to have you. Stoked to have you co-hosting. I didn't mention Sam is usually Sam and I usually do this together. Sam is with one of our partners on location today, shooting some training learning videos. He's doing the
That's awesome.
thing that we actually do instead of going live every week. So I'm commenting on LinkedIn. I'm just commenting for the folks
For
here
reach, for reach.
for
Yeah.
reach, because again we're still figuring this out. So every week we kind of do some segments. And so one of the segments that we do every single week is called a restaurant spotlight, where we go and we visit a restaurant. Sometimes we do a tech spotlight, kind of industry spotlights, but we've been doing these restaurant spotlights every single week where Sam and I go and visit a different restaurant. Sometimes it's brands that we've worked with. Sometimes it's brands that we haven't worked with, but that we're familiar with, or we know somebody, or we want to work with, or we just know stuff about. And so we're gonna do a restaurant spotlight here in a minute. But before we do that, I have a new segment I want to introduce today.
Whoa.
I
Okay.
don't,
What's
I
this
don't,
new segment?
I'm going rogue. I'm going rogue.
I love it.
And it might be a one-time segment.
Okay.
It might be the only time this happens.
Oh,
are you ready for it?
I'm juiced. I'm juiced right now.
It's a segment I like to call, Is This Okay?
Ooh, is this okay?
So, Corban, I really love kiwis. Kiwi is like my favorite fruit. Okay.
That's the first time that sentence has ever been uttered in human history, but continue.
Wow. Okay. But here's the thing. I'm also a big fan of like simplicity. Like I don't like things with lots of steps. I don't like I like easy setups. That's why, I like an apple because you can just kind of bite into it and you just go. Kiwi requires like cutting or peeling.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you see where I'm going with this, but I
think so.
I recently realized I could just eat a kiwi like an apple.
Yeah.
But I could just eat the skin and the texture is kind of gross, but I kind of didn't care. I was just like, I like it. It didn't matter to me. The grossness was worth the
convenience.
The convenience and the fact that I just got to eat the kiwi, which I really, really love. So my question to you, is this okay?
I don't think it's okay. I don't. I think it makes you a monster of some capacity and some sort. And here's the way that I'm gonna to reference it to. I had a friend back in the day that had this same type of issue that you're talking about, where but his was more about didn't want to waste anything, didn't want anything to ever go to waste. It was very frugal, very conservative, frugally, and didn't want any money that he spent to leave anything on the table. The kind of guy that would get all of the meat off the chicken bones, if you get my drift, right? There was no gristle left on the bone.
All the skin off the kiwi.
All the skin off a kiwi. Why would he? But what he used to do was he would eat the apple from the bottom to the top, instead of from the side around the core, because he said that if you eat the apple that way, you could just eat the core and it didn't taste as bad. It didn't have that same texture. It wasn't that same stiffness and firmness, because of the way that you're going at the apple actually allowed him to eat the whole thing. And I thought he was a monster. And so I'm picking up the same vibes, except yours isn't from the frugal nature of I'm wasting all of this kiwi. No, just, hey, things have been done for thousands of years a specific way, probably for a reason. And I don't know what layer of Roundup or whatever was used on that kiwi on the outside. So I would just err with safety and only eat the inside of the kiwi.
Okay. So your answer is it's not okay.
It's not okay. Not okay. This is where a big graphic next week, if this keeps going, should be put up on the screen and a big booming voice of not okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not okay. Thank you, Corban. This has been Is This Okay? All right, everybody, moving on to the next segment. Now we just want to dive into our restaurant spotlight for the week. This week's restaurant spotlight is on Chaji, a modern tea house. And it is one of the brands that Sam and I have had the chance to partner with. And if you're not familiar with them, you will be familiar with them. Oops. Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
you shared your downloads folder.
Oh, no. Don't share your downloads folder.
That's forever now.
That's forever now. It's saved on the thing. I had it pulled up. I really did. And oh no, not smooth.
It's okay, man. If you'd like, while you get that all sorted out, it's sorted.
Good. Yeah. So this is this week's restaurant spotlight, and we'll see you in a minute. So this is arguably the largest beverage brand in the world that you have never heard of. It's Chaji, a modern tea house. Chaji has over 7,000 locations worldwide. They just opened up in the US market 6 months ago, and this was their first location. So it's sort of like their flagship store in the United States. So Chaji was founded in 2017 in Yunnan, China. And they have this dynamic founder story of this young man, Zhang Junji, or they call him Jay, who really had little formal education, even lived on the streets, was an apprentice in a bubble tea shop. He opened the first Chaji and just through grit and determination, scaled it and grew it to what it is today. And one of like the cool projects, well, I thought it was cool, that we ended up doing for them was animating this mural and bringing it to life to help tell the story. Thank you, sir. So they're really famous for their milk tea latte. It's a tea base with milk served over ice, usually sugar, and it's customizable. But their actual like signature product drink is this jasmine green tea latte, and they call it the Boya tea latte. And it's actually pretty damn good. There's a story behind the name Boya. It refers to this ancient Chinese legend about a character named Boya who was like a sitar player whose music was truly only understood by like his best friend. It's this legend, this mythology, this story that evokes this feeling of somebody who understands you, a feeling connected to a friend. It would be like if a coffee shop in the US named their coffee Thor's Hammer, like you would get it. Oh, it packs a punch. Or if they called it Darth Vader coffee, you would know that's like dark black coffee, right? Because in China, you might hear the word Boya and you just immediately understand the legend, the story, and understand, connect to the mythology. And one of their mission statement's purpose is making friends through tea. They're staying true to that story, even in their signature product, which I think is really cool. Oh, did I mention that the Boya tea latte sells over 600 million cups a year? They kind of became famous and exploded in growth because like their packaging was cool. It really resonated with culture. Like people were making viral social media content of like repurposing the packaging and the boxes and the cups, turning it into clothes, went crazy all over social media. And that's really what helped fuel its explosive growth. And they actually kind of took the same playbook when they came into the US. On the opening week of this place was packed with influencers. So they really leaned into social media and influencer marketing culture in order to build brand awareness here in Los Angeles, which makes sense. Because if Stacy with 55,000 TikTok followers tells you to go try the new modern tea house, you go try the new modern tea house. Come on, Stacy said to. I mean, you can knock it all you want, but it works. Oh wait, back to the mural. So like I said, this was a project where we kind of animated the mural and brought it to life, but the elements of the mural are sort of tell the story of the history of tea. Chaji was founded in Yunnan, China, like back in 2017, but Yunnan's actually like the birthplace of tea itself. So the mural kind of tells the story of the Tea Horse Road, how tea was born in Yunnan, but then spread out across the world and became this global phenomenon. And Chaji sort of has the same goal of going from Yunnan to expanding worldwide and making their signature drink just a part of daily life. Just like for most people in the US, coffee is a part of daily life. Their goal is to be your daily ritual. Will it be? I don't know, time will tell. Boom. That's it. Chaji Modern Tea House, first location right here in Los Angeles.
So the first location in the US, right, and growing, expanding, and obviously the first location you had just talked about, where coming from the birthplace of tea itself. But how many locations does Chaji have globally at this point?
Oh, well, it wasn't a video. It wasn't a video, Corbin, in the intro. It
Oh,
was
was it? I'm so sorry, I missed that.
7,000. So, yeah,
7,000. That's incredible.
it is incredible. And like, I mean, they want to be the Starbucks of tea, right? And they kind of already are. But I mean, there's just a different. They do have a competitor called Hey Tea, and they kind of came to the U.S. market about a year earlier than Chaji. Hey Tea is similar. They sell they more. I think they do boba, which Chaji doesn't do. Everybody comes in there. It's like, oh, is this a boba place? And they're like, no, we're a milk tea latte place. But they have this like they do tea espresso. So they have like this kind of like custom tea espresso machine where they just what it sounds like. They make espresso shots of tea. But yeah, they're in they started in China. They're in like Malaysia, Singapore, kind of that APAC region, and really kind of expanded there. They had a pop-up shop, I think, in Paris at the Olympics, the Paris Olympics, and it was just
That's
like
cool.
super popular, like just like crazy popular with like a lot of the international crowd there, which sort of gave them this like oomph to like move internationally and kind of move into Europe and the West. But it's just crazy to have like to be that huge and just be unknown out here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you think about something to that extent, 7,000 locations, and out here, obviously in the States, boba tea is a huge, very popular. I don't necessarily want to go into calling it a fad because I don't know if it's on the downcline or just staying steady, whatever the case is. But you have this where they've basically built a Starbucks of their own over in China and now internationally, and now they're coming to dominate here as well. So that's really cool. I know that you know a lot of people with the Chaji team. One of my good friends just recently went to go work there as well. So really pumped for him. Really excited to see what this does, and counting down the days until they have a mural in Columbus, Ohio, with maybe the shoe or OSU in the background or something.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've built like a world-class team. I mean, like you mentioned, they brought in Horace Khan, who was previously, VP of Ops Services at Chipotle. Now he's their chief retail officer. He's just like, I mean, you and I would both say for days that he's legit. He's the guy to do the job. But they've also brought in like people from Dutch Bros, from McDonald's marketing. They've built like a world-class team to so they've got the foundation to really grow in the US. It's just a question of like, is it a right product fit? And they're gonna kind of push it through and see if they can get to the point where they can start franchising. So it'll be really cool to see. What we did is we basically built the infrastructure, the mechanism to scale training. We built like all their ops manuals, all their training content, all the like tools and materials that are used in the restaurant, and like career path materials to like train managers because they want to open a bunch really quickly. So we just like
Yeah.
built like, infrastructure in order for them to go from like this one location that they have now. Well, now they have three in the US, but to quickly go to like 20, 30, 50 in the next year or so. So
And when you think about scaling, it's all about having those right processes and systems from the start, right? So many times we see the end result of scaling, right? We talk about Chipotle a lot because we were a part of that culture, a part of that growth boom and everything. And it's easy to look at the end result of 3,500 to 4,000 units now and everything. And I remember even when I started, like I had eaten there for 7 years, 6 times a day or 6 times a week, like before I even started working there. And I finally just was like, well, maybe I should get this for a discount or free or something if I'm going to
yeah,
do
yeah.
it. And I got hooked because the culture was so fantastic and everything and more that you really ever thought it would be. But I think people looked at it and said, well, at 1,200 restaurants when I joined, they had it all figured out, and they had a lot of it figured out for sure. But as you go from even 1,200 up to 4,000, it's kind of remarkable how many things were overlooked or weren't needed at one point because you were able to catch fire with the Osborns or whatever the case was, where it
Yeah.
just helped alleviate some of those pressures. But if you're trying to grow as an unknown, even though you have this powerhouse behind you, it is all about those fundamental systems, the processes. What can you have as a steady foundation that you can just continue to move forward with, and really have something that's structurally sound, because that is how you build everything. That's how you have to build everything. You don't want to build your house on the sand, Matt. You want to
Right.
build it on a strong foundation.
That's awesome. Yes, 100%. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. I'm excited to see where Horace takes it. So we'll keep
Yeah,
our eyes
absolutely.
peeled.
And I'm kind of curious more about the sitar too, because I think the sitar is a cool instrument, and that'd be really cool to lean into that a little bit too, even
Well,
more.
and I will say, and not to like, and I know we have a different topic today, but I just love that they because originally when they kind of at first on their menu they were just gonna call it like a jasmine green tea latte, but then
Ah,
I feel like they kind of like doubled down on like, no, we're gonna stick true to like kind of like our heritage and our culture. And they're the guy who was kind of president of operations here. He even told me like they were inspired by Din Tai Fung, one of the other brands that we work with, who really stay true to like their cultural heritage and like states true to the Xiaolong Bao and like their signature product. And so with that, they stay true to their signature product and even calling it the Boya Tea Latte, even though they knew that would be like an unknown thing in the US. But they stuck true to calling it that. And like I said in the video, it evokes this like in China, people would just get it. They would hear the word boya and like know what that means. But here it's an unknown thing. So they're kind of using it as a way to just like introduce culture to a whole new audience, which I think in and of itself is pretty cool. So
Yeah, it's so cool when organizations can do something from that perspective. Not every organization or restaurant company or hospitality organization has the ability to do that. But I think about here at Piada, and I actually have the opportunity to look outside of my office door and see. We always have a current copy of our in-restaurant visuals up on the wall in our bullpen area, so that we always know what we're looking for when we go into the restaurants. And it's so cool because I can look up there right now and see. Yeah, we have one of our piadas, which already in and of itself is derived from the word piadina, which is that hand-rolled Italian sandwich, and we just Americanized it, if you will. But
right.
we have one of them that's called the chef's favorite. It doesn't actually describe the piata at all. It doesn't describe what's in it, but it is our chef's favorite, our founder's favorite that he had and what he created. And so it's a cool little way of just continuing that culture story piece when you can, of speaking to something without just having to call it just exactly what it is, what
Right.
every ingredient may be.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Well, speaking of Piada,
What a
so
segue, huh?
oh,
Look at this.
hey. So, so we talked last week about this, introducing these hospitality standards, and just the importance of having just clear written down direction and standards for hospitality, clearly laying out the expectations, right? And so there's one thing to write it down and to put it in a book or to put it into a training course or to put it into a video. But how do you and even if it's something that's put into a video or a training course, and if it's taught really well and if it's really sticky, there's still this extra layer of actually effectively introducing it to an organization. And there's
Mhm.
so many factors that go into this. And I know anybody who does work like this, there's even factors like the time of year, making sure that you're not doing it in conjunction with other rollouts, making sure that, it's the timing is right, all of that. But I would love to hear from you if you could just kind of walk us through what you think made this rollout specifically successful, and kind of how you structured it to be effective in order to get the kind of results that we saw last week. And if people didn't see that, basically the results were that the the company's NPS increased by 50% and have sustained those results for the last several years. And so, how did this rollout contribute to those results?
Yeah, I think that to start with this, it's very important to start with what is the end in mind, right? So many times, especially in the learning space, the training space, or whatever it is, we're more concerned with just getting it rolled out versus what's next after we roll it out. Where do we go from there? And so many times we stop short, just as an industry, as a whole, as educators, whatever the case is. It's like, well, we need to get somebody to pass a test, or we need to get somebody to pass a knowledge check. So we're going to teach them for the test. We're going to teach them so for the launch, instead of what are we going to teach to change behaviors. So all of this really started through some level of understanding of the results pyramid. And we're not going to change. At the top of the pyramid is the results, and whatever we have as far as results, no matter where we are, whatever organization we're in, the results are just completely because of the actions that we take. And our actions get us the results we have. If you want to change your results, you change your actions. But so many times our actions are just baked into part of the culture, part of the norm, part of our day-to-day, what it is that we do. And it's much harder to consistently change the actions that are happening inside an organization as a whole. But realistically, and you know this, when you're talking about, like, for us at Piada, over the course of the past couple of years, our growth from 37 locations when I joined in 2021 to now we have 62 locations. We've almost doubled in size since joining, which is great. It's been steady. It's been consistent. But even through that, that's 62 different places that we have to not just manage the actions and the results. We have to give them a different experience than something that they're potentially used to in the past. So all of this rollout, the whole success, everything that we've had and experienced is really because of the experiences that we've created that have changed the beliefs of the system. And so I know I'm speaking in a lot of theory right now, but I think it's important to really understand and realize that if you're just trying to change the results of your organization, you can bully it for a little bit. But if you want consistent change and a different result, you have to eventually go all the way to the foundation of a different experience that you're giving to shift the beliefs of those that are actually doing it day in and day out. Because if I could be on the line giving somebody a see you tomorrow or see you next time or inviting them back in any way, that'd be great, but I can't be in 62 places all at once. So how do we create people that want to do that? Well, we have to do it in a different manner. So that's how this was all built and how it all works.
Mm.
And
I do love that. I do love that
please.
background. So the whole mentality was like, let's introduce this in a way that creates new experiences for your organization that will lead up to the new actions, the new results that you're trying to get.
Exactly. Because otherwise you roll it out for a launch.
Yeah.
And so many times we make investments in this industry with a launch of a product, a launch of a new menu item, a launch of a marketing campaign, a launch of a promotion, a launch of whatever it is. That's what we care about. And then once it's launched, we're just always trying to bully the results. And we're trying to get to our goals, our thresholds of where we want to be in order to consider it successful. But truthfully, what we need to be focused on is how do we get those results for a long-term strategic piece and not just create something that's rolled out once and then hope that it continues on in perpetuity. We have to create something that's meant to be used in perpetuity and rolled out once, if that makes sense. So it's a little bit of a backwards thinking to what typically happens.
So then I guess walk us through what that looked like an actual, like what did you do kind of nuts and bolts wise, specifically in this rollout that you felt like led to creating these new experiences for people?
So first off with it, what we had to do was really identify what is it that we're trying to have happen, right? What is that end result in mind? And for us, it was pretty specific. We knew that we wanted to increase our guest satisfaction scores. What we take with the 4s and 5s that come through all of the online channels, whether that's Yelp or Facebook or Google reviews, all the 4s and 5s, and then compared to the 1s and the 2 ratings that come in. And we knew that, okay, in order to have the biggest bang for our buck in what we wanted to do, the first goal was to remove the 1s and 2s. If we can remove every bad experience from happening inside of our 4 walls or with a food that goes outside of our 4 walls, then we're going to be super successful. But also, as a subsection of that, how can we increase the 4s and 5s that people are going on and raving about us? You and I both know, and I think anybody watching this knows, most people don't go online when they have a great experience.
Right.
It's kind of like the Keith Lee video that we talked about last week, where Keith Lee did the stitch about Piada Italian Street Food, and it's been huge. It's been great for us.
Yeah.
But some of the comments were like, "Oh no, our best kept secret." When you have something that's good as a consumer, as a guest, you kind of like, it's called gatekeeping. A lot of people gatekeep it, like, "Oh, I've got this great thing, but I'm not going to tell anybody about it. I'm not going to tell you where to get it because I want it all for myself and I don't want it to get ruined." And so if you just focus on 4s and 5s, you're really kind of out on a limb where you don't know if people are going to just automatically come and give you those reviews, even if they have a 5-star experience.
Right.
If you get rid of the people that are complaining and convert them into having a great experience, even if they don't go online and rave about it, you're automatically going to improve your percentage. So that's really what we were building this on. What we also realized as we were in this foundational planning stage was, well, how many people today know what hospitality looks like? How many people today have experienced hospitality in some level or degree outside of their natural experiences? But not many people have the opportunity to go to a great 5-star, Michelin star rated French restaurant in Paris that's just like crushing it and killing it, and get that experience of seeing tablecloths being ironed. And we're also a fast casual restaurant. Is that the same level of hospitality? Is that the same perception of hospitality that we want? So we really had to work through and dig in and dive into what do we want to really focus on. So we created the 3 main buckets of our hospitality program. And from those 3 buckets, what we did was we put in little substandards in between on all of them to help describe them more. Great. So then we created the content, we workshopped all of that. But really where success happened was in the planning process. And this is my long-winded way of answering your question, but I don't want to leave these parts out because it's so critical and crucial. You have to have a plan first and foremost. A failure to plan is planning to fail, right? Like who did we say said that? Like Freud or somebody, I think.
Yeah, Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, Marcus Aurelius, William Wallace, like
William
one of them.
Wallace, that's right.
Yeah.
As William Wallace famously said.
Yeah, freedom and planning to fail
is failing to plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail.
There it is.
Yes.
But even with that, you have to have your plan first. Okay, great. So we got that. We created the content, and now it was all about time to roll it out. So what we did was, first and foremost, we rolled it out to all of our executive leadership and above restaurant leadership. We're a small enough organization where we were able to get everybody in the same room at the same time and basically go through the entirety of the training. Here are all the standards. Here's what it is, and have a discussion about it. It wasn't just, here's a video, go take it. We're going to check your compliance, and we'll give you a quick knowledge check on it to make sure that you got it. No, it was a real discussion, because the whole goal of it was, how do we get buy-in? Yeah. How do we get buy-in from the people that are actually going to be the ones that are facilitating this and monitoring it when it is rolled out? It's not just about, hey, we want you to check the rollout execution numbers and the compliance numbers of the rollout. No, it's how do we make sure that you are cultivating this living, breathing organism inside of your restaurants, knowing that the restaurants have over 100% turnover. So every year you're training a whole new staff. And if you only plan to roll it out once and just have the compliance on the first initial rollout, well, now in 2 years, you've completely lost, like, fundamentally, the majority of the people that have worked for you with that percentage change. And so all of a sudden now, everything that you worked so hard on and spent all the money up front on doesn't have a way to live in perpetuity. So getting the buy-in, because they're really the gardeners. When you think about the above restaurant leadership or the above operations leadership, the executive leadership, they have to be the ones saying the terms. They have to be the ones taking the sticky and repeating it, parroting it back, and really driving that into the culture. And that was so huge for us, because once we were able to do that, that's when we got on the road show. And so the road show looked like myself and my small team. I have 2 amazing field trainers, Alexa and Bracely, and myself, my field trainers. We were going out to all of the restaurants, and we had a projector, a speaker, a projector screen, and we had everybody that was on that schedule. They were in the restaurant that morning before we opened, and we were investing the labor, investing the time and the energy and the effort to basically doing the same thing that we had just done at that above restaurant leadership. And they were there too, co-facilitating with us. So we had like a little facilitator guide. We had diagnosing tools of being able to figure out, like, where are we currently going to struggle the most with, and really personalizing it and changing it to a new layer of understanding. So it wasn't just us coming in and showing you a video. It was us having a discussion about, why is this so important? What does this look like for you? Can you tell me about a time that this happened to you? And we're just asking people that work the line, that work cash, that cook, hey, when was the time that you had somebody treat you like this? Because then you personalize it and you create a little mini anchor within each person into the belief of why it's important, right? We created an experience to change the beliefs and get people to understand why this matters so much. Now, that's not something that we can continue to do on such a grand scale over and over again. But if you can start it off with the momentum and get that flywheel spinning right away, okay, great. Now you're in great shape to be able to do what comes next. So before I go into the how did we make it live on in perpetuity, I want to take a little pause real quick and get your thoughts so far.
I love, like, just that idea of creating the experience for people, right? And it sounds like you're saying that the experience was, I mean, literally making like an event, an experiential event for people, which is what we did. Like, taught the above restaurant leadership, brought them in upstairs at Lindy's, walked them through the training. And what I like how you talked about introducing the language, making sure that kind of that shared language was introduced to people, and that people would repeat that language, the language of hospitality, the language that you wanted to introduce to the organization, and then just repeating the same thing across the organization in small little pockets, but having those people there and like having their stamp of approval on it is invaluable. Because if you would
Yeah.
have just started with like, if you and your training team would have just gone into the restaurants and started teaching, and then one of those guys that was in that first meeting came in and didn't know what was going on, they would have been like, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we've seen that happen. We've seen that
Yeah.
happen before.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I know it's almost just like so obvious to say start at the top and get everybody's buy-in, and everybody always says that, but it's like if you don't do that, it just won't work.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that you did it right, and like seeing that come to life, it really did create new experiences, and sort of a new foundation for these teams. Um,
Absolutely. And it did two things on top of that, right? It allowed us to assess what parts of this do we really lean into?
hmm,
What parts are the teams naturally either laughing at or absorbing or parroting back? What do we see they immediately gravitate towards, and being able to understand why? So a part of the stickiness, a part of the what was said, we have a food training, we have a feel, the hospitality training, we have a flow training. How do you remove the friction by being rush ready, roll ready, and ready ready? And ready is an acronym there. So ready ready is an acronym. What we noticed was everybody just started saying ready ready.
right.
Everybody was ready ready, and they didn't really know what it meant. But what that allowed us to do was be able to circle back continually to what they already used. What we also started realizing was everybody started saying triple double check, because that was one part about like obsess over the details, especially with carryout orders. When the guest isn't there in front of you, you have to double check, double check, double check. That's a triple double check. And so what we started realizing was triple double check started to catch fire in what people were saying. Hey, did you triple double check that? Did you triple double check that? Did you triple double check that? And so what we started doing was building more tools to help reaffirm what we were doing, like a triple double check poster. How
Yeah.
can you triple double check for your shift, for everything that you're doing? And using that same language, whether it was, how do you feel today? Do you feel ready? Oh, what does ready mean? Like, and using this lingo started moving into even more training that we were able to do in other areas that still funneled its way back into the essence of what we were doing with the initial rollout, right? So we were able to take right away and see what are people responding to through that, and build more on top of that.
Yeah.
What we were also able to do was we were able to continually come back to everything. And what I mean by that is that first rollout meeting was great. All of our above restaurant leadership, our market partners, our regional directors of operations, they were all on board. The next one, I remembered it so clearly, and you guys weren't there for it, but it was fun. I don't like playing gotcha games with our restaurants, right?
Totally.
But
Yeah.
what I do like is really holding up a mirror and saying, "Oh, here's what you thought. Here's what the actual nature is of what's happening." And it's not done to be a gotcha. But one person said, "Man, I have," because we did it at every restaurant, right? At that point, it was like 45 restaurants. So everybody was doing it at 5 to 6 to 7 restaurants, co-facilitated with us. And everybody was like, "Oh, I've rolled this out so many times. I've got it memorized. I could quote the whole thing at this point." And in my mind, I'm like, "Well, I helped write it. I
Yeah.
helped put it together. I've rolled it out as many times as you have, if not more than you have. And I don't know if I have it all memorized yet.
Yeah.
So why don't we have a fill in the blank so we literally printed out these blank pages and was like, okay, great. Here, fill in the blank of all of the different hospitality standards.
Yeah.
And it wasn't meant to be like, see, you don't know. But what it was meant to do was say, look, you rolled it out 7 times and you don't even remember all of these pieces step by step. We were holding up a mirror. Your restaurant learned it once.
Yeah.
If we're not continually saying it and continually reinforcing it every time that we're in the building, There's no way they're going to remember all of these things. They're not going to remember all of these pieces, and we can't afford to set it and forget it. We can't afford to just plant the seed and hope that it grows. No, we have to cultivate what it is that we're trying to grow and what we're trying to manufacture inside of our four walls. And
Yeah.
so it was this aha moment for everybody where nobody took it personal because we did it very professionally, but it was a way to say, look, it's okay that you don't know it all. I helped write it. I don't know it all. But your restaurants definitely don't know it all. So you can't have that mentality of why does the new person on the front line not remember everything? And that was why we built every tool the way we did so that we could validate in the moment and be able to continue to coach on those things that still needed to be worked on. So the in perpetuity was always front of mind and not just that initial rollout and say, all right, great, we rolled out a new hospitality program. The rollout was really just the start of the journey, because then what we started to realize was everything else that we rolled out from then forward, and we weren't great about this at first, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but everything that we rolled out from that point forward needed to have some level of association back to our core values, whether that's passionate chefs and team members or genuine hospitality, discipline and focus, right? Like thoughtfully prepared ingredients, all of these things, it had to have some connection. And where we found was now that we had all of these standards, these F3 standards, how can we take our new lemon kale Caesar salad or our new summertime beverage LTO and tie it back to what genuine hospitality looks like and what we said? And so then whether that was through scripts or through the training, however it was that we navigated it, we were able to always tie everything that we did from that point forward back to this is how it equals genuine hospitality according to Piada, according to who we are. And so now the momentum has started really shifting and carrying it where we don't track compliance of every single course that we take or that we have people take. We track 8 total courses, 8 total modules, if you will, like, right? And 4 of them are either food safety or having a safe work environment. And the other 4 are our genuine hospitality courses, because I know that if I can start you off with consistency in your first week to 2 weeks in our learning management system, where you are actively going, you're getting sticky content that we've created and crafted to have this like secondary piece of keeping the flywheel moving.
Yeah.
I know that you're going to keep going back in there for more and more and more content organically versus it just being like we got to go check the box and get this done.
Nice. So the whole rollout was structured around this like in-person workshop with the top level leadership, in-person workshops around the country, same thing with every single member of the organization. And then like the next step, sort of the sustained results of it was making just those sort of like the core curriculum, but then like always kind of tying everything back to that. Every new thing you introduced was sort of tied into this original foundation that you'd laid of hospitality.
Yeah, absolutely. It really comes down to if you make everything important, then nothing's going to be important. When everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority because nobody knows where to start or where to finish.
Yeah.
But if you always tie it back to the main thing and you keep the main thing, no matter what we do, we know that genuine hospitality can be broken down into food, feel, and flow. And yes, all 3 of those have subcategories of their own, absolutely. But if we have great tasting, safe, delicious food, if we have a great feel inside of our restaurant that lets people know we're there, lets them know that we care and keeps them coming back for more and more. And we have great flow where you can come in and there's a line to the door, but you turn to your friend and say, don't worry, the line goes quick because we're frictionless and we just move it fast. If we can tie everything that we do into one of those 3 categories, then we're great. Whether that's what is our hospitality program for our guests, or what's our hospitality look like for our internal guests? How do we take care of the feel and the flow of our internal team member who's our guest as well, right? So being able to take all of our vernacular and spin it and put it right back to part of our career pathing, part of our job descriptions, everything that we do, everything that we're building on now just takes the form of this system, because realistically, this is the foundation that when we build on and we make it a priority and we make this the North Star, this is the important thing. And not just the program, genuine hospitality. Genuine hospitality is the North Star. When we can always point back to that, and we can always coach back to that, and always diagnose back to that, we've now got something that can live on in perpetuity, that people are passionate about, they understand, it relates to them, and it's easy for them to remember as well.
Nice. I want to come back to something else that you said that just really sticks out in terms of starting with the result in mind, right? Like, you guys started with this result in mind of, we wanted to increase our net promoter score. We wanted to increase our guest satisfaction scores. But what I love was like, and it's sort of this like lead measure, lag measure mentality of like, it wasn't just like, oh, we want to bump up this number, but you had the goal in mind of very specifically the tactic was also the goal of like, we gotta kill the ones and twos, and we got to bump up those fours and fives. You know what I mean? Like, that's the actual, like, the goal was increase guest satisfaction score, but also, and you knew the tactic was to get rid of the ones and twos and increase fours and fives. But that also means that the goal becomes kill the ones and twos and bump up fours and fives. Like, that's the actual goal to get to the result that you want. Did you guys actively like do that? Were you guys actively looking at guest reviews and like seeing ones and twos and like addressing those specifically? Like, was that like a tactical thing?
That's a great question, because what we found was, at the beginning, while that was a goal and a tactic that we wanted to employ, we didn't know as an organization how this was going to naturally net out, right? So many times the best laid plans of men and mice often go awry. And so you build a system, you build a mousetrap, you build exactly what it is that you're looking to do and accomplish. And all of a sudden it may not cure your heart disease, but it might do something other more beneficial for you, some way, shape, or form, a little pill that you might take. And so you always have to be willing to see where it goes, right? And with this, what I realized, and what we realized as an organization, was we could use what we created as content to diagnose where were the main misses. And so then we could do hospitality corners. We could have scripted content that was specific just to address specific items, because how we ended up building, because of the tactics that we had in mind, this whole program that we built together was, well, the first thing that you do is learn how to eliminate ones and twos. And just naturally, it's not even expressed that way through the training, through the videos, through any of it. It's just natural. Like, if you smile and make eye contact, if you speak up to somebody, if you treat them politely, if you answer the phone, if you solve problems, if you obsess over their details, if you make sure that they get what they want, you're just naturally eliminating the ones and twos. So then it was easy to be like, well, as we continue to see the same number of ones and twos come through, well, hey, let's go back and refocus on these core fundamentals. Let's go back and focus on these things. And then all of a sudden, I was at a conference recently, and at the conference, Jim Biddix, who is the president, CEO of Dave's Hot Chicken, was talking about data, right? And how data is everywhere. And he likened it to this way, where he was like, do you remember like years ago when bacon was everywhere? Bacon like was in a bunch of things that it didn't need to be in. It was like bacon milkshakes, like bacon was everywhere. Data is like the new bacon. Okay. Data is just everywhere. We're all just like talking about data all the time. We're using, but nobody knows how to use the data. Yeah. So if you actually take the data that your guests are sending you back, and you actually start mining that, and you actually start putting that into perspective to understand, where did we miss the mark? Typically, we're missing the mark in the same areas. Either we're not cooking the food right. Food quality is a huge one, but food accuracy. Accuracy is the number one issue of ones and twos across the board. It is 1/3 of every guest complaint that we have as an organization is because of order accuracy not being done. So when you think about it, okay, well, order accuracy is usually really good when the person's right in front of you. Why? Right. Because they can be like, no, not that. Like, I actually wanted this instead. When they do it online, and there's nobody standing over our shoulder or in front of us to look and coach us on what we're doing, that's where we need to be more vigilant. So how can we then create and shape tools or language around that? Because once we triple double check the orders, once we start really monitoring those pieces, if we improve our order accuracy, we can eliminate a third of all of our ones and twos out of the door immediately. So it's order accuracy, it's food quality. Are we following the recipes? Are we making it right? Are we tasting the food? Great. If we can nail that down, have the hot food be hot, the cold food be cold, and it all be delicious and taste the way that it's supposed to be, great. Now we've actually eliminated 60% of all of the negative guest feedbacks right there. Now, we're probably not going and getting 4s and 5s just by doing those things, because those are greens fees. Get their order right and make sure that you make it taste good. Like, great. Like you nail that. You're just eliminating 1s and 2s, but people are just happy because they got the meal that they were supposed to get at the size they were supposed to get. Where you really get into the 4s and 5s of it, what we discovered as we started going through this was really that hospitality piece. How are we treating them when they're in the building? How are we responding to them? And remember, some of this is perception versus reality, and somebody's day impacts the way that they perceive. But if we stop, make eye contact, smile, say, give them a big, hi, welcome to Piada. What can I get started for you today? And if we say thank you and invite them back at the very end, we just eliminated most, if not all, of the comments that we actually have. Because we don't get comments for people saying, oh, you didn't do what I asked. Like you didn't customize it the way I want. Nobody says that. They say they didn't acknowledge me. They didn't smile. They were rude. They didn't make eye contact. And I just didn't feel like any gratitude for spending my money here. So I'm not going to spend my money here anymore. So smile, make eye contact, say thank you, invite them back. You eliminate all of that. And now what we've done, according to the data that we've mined, is we've eliminated 85% just through those 3 key measures, which can all be broken down into the flow of what we put together. Now, when we built it, we didn't know we'd be able to get that granular with it. But after we rolled it out, what we started realizing was the themes and being able to tie it back to where do we talk about this and how does it intersect back into the program?
Nice. Well, dude, I appreciate that. And I feel like that, if somebody out there is just now thinking about introducing hospitality standards into their organization, or if they're facing the challenge of, we don't feel like we are living up to the level of hospitality and care that we want to provide. We don't have hospitality as a competitive edge right now in our organization. I feel like what you just walked through of like the systematic approach to reducing eliminating 1s and 2s, and then increasing 4s and 5s, and being systematic about it and using the numbers is the place to start. That's a masterclass. So we should cut that part out. We'll post it out there. I think people can benefit from that. So thank you for co-hosting with me today, and also being the guest to walk us through the rollout and even just that systematic approach to achieving results. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm so thrilled. I mean, we're friends. We go way back, and also I just always enjoy our conversations. But what I do want to leave everybody with is this one thing that, yes, it's important for a frequency perspective to eliminate the 1s and 2s, right? Like, because you get the cheapest guest that you have, the one that you already have, to come back more frequently if you're not making them upset, if you're giving them value, right? Value is perceived as the amount plus the experience plus the craveability of the item. Really, that's how a fast casual guest perceives value. It's not just quantity, it's the quality of the experience as well. And did I get what I paid for? But there were some analytics that were done that were shared to me from our marketing and our technology teams as well, which is that when you increase your average score at your organization by a full star, that on average equals out to equaling an increase of between 4 to 9% of the sales of that specific location for every star that you increase it by.
Wow.
So if you're in this market right now with all of these headwinds that you're faced with, hospitality is important because, yes, you get your more frequent guests to come back more, but also there's just tangible results that are put together by all of these different measuring sites like the Googles, the Yelps, the Open Tables, whatever it is, the Facebooks. It all equals an actual increase in your overall gross sales by doing this, by actually eliminating the ones and the twos and increasing to the fours and the fives. Like, you now drive sales actively into your restaurant.
That's awesome. That's huge. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I love it. Love the tangible data, the bacon of our industry.
Everybody loves bacon. Everybody loves bacon.
Everybody loves bacon. Love ourselves a little like a maple glazed bacon
Yeah.
donut.
Yeah, right.
What is that? Who thought that was a good idea?
We don't need that. We don't need bacon and chocolate chip cookies. I'm sorry. We already did it. We perfected it. Chocolate chips and cookie. That was perfect. We don't need bacon on top of it too.
Yeah, but we do need that data that
We
tells
do
us
need the data.
that a star 4 to 9% increase in
4 to
sales.
9% increase
That's
in
awesome.
sales
That's
for
huge.
every star.
Awesome. Well, Corban, thanks again. And thank you everybody out there for joining us. Like I said, we go live every single week on Wednesdays and just have conversations like this for restaurant leadership, training professionals, HR innovators. And we're just going to continue to do it. So thanks for joining us. And Corban, I hope we'll have you back again.
That'd be great. Always here for you. Thanks again.